If you have reached this part of the CD-ROM, you have probably heard quite a few doctors talk about the importance of the asheryatzar prayer, the asheryatzar tefillah. Now, that's something that we say quite often throughout the day, throughout the year, and we know, as I mentioned in the introduction, that a wonderful person, Rav Shimshon Halperin from Monsey, was the one who first designed these type of posters, these asheryatzerposters. Now, this was quite a few years ago, and as I mentioned, they are in so many different languages, in French, and in Russian, and in Persian, and in Yiddish, and in Hebrew, the translation. I remember seeing how Rav Segel, the Manchester Rosh Hashiva, would say Asher out of a siddur. I remember when I once went to visit one of the Rosh Hashivas of Mir in Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Yitzchak Ezrachi, he showed me that he had one of these little ones in his wallet. And he always said Asher Yatzar from one of these little cards or from a siddur. And he mentioned to me that there's a skula. Just like we know that if somebody benches properly, and that's mentioned in the Sefer HaChinuch, that if somebody benches and says Birchas HaMazon properly, it's a skula for Parnasa, that'll have a good livelihood. So the same thing is with Asher Yatzar. Rav Ezrachi told me that if somebody says it out of a siddur or out of a card and is careful in the way he pronounces every word, that it's a skula, it's a good omen, and a schus that he won't get sick. So certainly it is great. It is a great value for all of us to be able to have these little cards or the bigger ones. You could have them in your home or even in schools, the very, very big ones. Now, I just want to give you some information how you can get these. And of course, if anybody wants them for free, of course, they are for free. However, the Jewish Foundation would appreciate that for every one of the posters, if there would be a small donation of 25 cents, or for the little tiny ones, 10 cents per Asher Yatzar sign, so that at least you can help perpetuate so that they should be printed and be able to be spread all over the world. The goal of Rab Shimshon Halperin really is that every Jewish home, no matter where there is a Yiddish home in the world, and it doesn't make a difference what language they speak, they should have an Asher Yatzar poster, or a few of them, or people should be able to carry it with them. So it makes no difference whether you're speaking Spanish, or French, or English, or Hebrew, or Yiddish. Makes no difference whether you're in Williamsburg, or in Gibraltar, or in Mexico, or in Switzerland, or wherever Yidden find themselves today. It is an opportunity to be able to get these posters. So let me give you the telephone number that you can call, 845-352-0111. And if you want to fax in your order to the Jewish Foundation, the fax number is 845-352-0305. And if you want to write them, something that happened because you said Asher Yatzar, how a person was zeicha, merited to get better from an illness that he had. Or if you want to order them by regular mail, it's the Jewish Foundation, and that's at 10 Wallenberg Circle, in Monsey, which is Monsey, New York, 10952. Hashem should help that all of us should be able to feel a closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in all the tefillahs that we say every single day. And specifically, if we are so careful with this Asher Yatzar prayer, that we will come to a level of Hakaras HaTov, a recognition of all the good that we have. Certainly, if you have watched this CD-ROM, you've got to be amazed at the intricacies of the human body, the lungs, the heart, the eyes, the spleen, the liver, everything that everybody has talked about. I tell you, I know for me personally that my davening is different, and my recognition to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is different, because when you hear all these wonderful people speaking about the marvelous way that Rabbeinu Shalom has made the human body, you know that we owe so much to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the fact that we are healthy and that we can function. And the way we can express it, not only through the Birchas HaShachar, the morning brachas, Pakei Chivrim, all those brachas that we talk about, Zoikev Kefufim, all those brachas that we talk about, being able to walk, Hamechem Mitzadei Gover, and as we said, Pakei Chivrim, the bracha that a person is able to see, and of course, the Asher Yatzar bracha. We thank you for your time, and we thank you for listening. I'd like to mention one more thing. If there's somebody out there, wherever you may be and wherever you're seeing this CD-ROM, if you would like to have the schus, the merit of sponsoring one of these posters, you certainly can join the many, many wonderful people. Their names are mentioned right here on the bottom. Over the years, different people have sponsored the publication of these posters so that people will be able to say the bracha properly and with a better understanding of what the bracha represents. So whether you want to sponsor the medium-sized poster or even these tiny little cards, this particular one here is L'Zeicha Nishmas, my father, Olav Shalom. I'm very grateful that Rab Shimshon Halpern chose to write my father's name on one of these little ones, because I have given out literally thousands and thousands of these cards to children all over the world, because I felt that this is such an important thing. And maybe let me tell you one quick little story before we end. There was a family in Eretz Yisrael that had a little boy, and a few hours after the child was born, the doctors and the nurses came in to the mother, and the mother told me that she realized in a second that there was something wrong with her child just by looking at the face of the doctors and the nurses. She knew something was terrible. And sure enough, they told her that her child cannot swallow. And they had never seen anything like it before. So they took many, many tests, and they put the child on intravenous, because they saw that all the food or the liquids that were being given to the child were dribbling down the child's cheek. And everybody was wondering, what in the world is wrong? Is there a physical blockage, and that's why the child cannot swallow? Or was it mental, that the child didn't understand that he's supposed to swallow? And whoever heard of that? That a child doesn't understand that they're supposed to swallow? That's like breathing. That's such a natural thing. Well, to make a very long story short, the baby couldn't have his bris. The baby was now 30 days old, and now it came the time for the Pidyon Haben, the redemption of the first son, because this was a Bechor, this was the first child. And when it came to the Pidyon Haben, the doctors and the nurses that were there, they took the baby to a local shul that was right next to the shul, right next to the hospital. The doctors allowed the child to go out. That was the first time that many of the family members had seen the child, because he had been in the hospital till then. And they had the Pidyon Haben ceremony, and then the father said that he wanted to give a bracha, a blessing to Hashem. And everybody was wondering, what blessing is he going to give to Hashem? Look at this child. The child can't even eat on its own. And that's when he got up and he said, Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, asher yotzar es ha'odam b'chochma, uvoravay nekavim nekavim, chalulim chalulim. And he continued with the whole bracha. And everybody who was there was crying, because they realized, now they understood the importance of this bracha. Imagine a child cannot swallow. That's part of the bracha of asheryatzar. There are certain things that are supposed to remain open. And if they're closed, a person, if his windpipe or his food pipe is closed when it's supposed to be open, if a child cannot swallow, a child cannot survive. And there's certain things that are supposed to remain closed. Take a look at the purple veins right here, or it looks purple, right here on the wrist. If that chas v'shalom opens and it doesn't close, a person could bleed to death. And then everybody realized how important this bracha is, and how grateful we have to be that we can function normally. And then, of course, he ended the bracha, Roifech al basar u'mafli laseis. Hashem, you heal all flesh, and you do wondrous things. A little while later, they were able to figure out what was wrong with this child, and Baruch Hashem, they were able to operate, and they took care of that blockage that was there. And Baruch Hashem, the child is developing. He's a very, very bright boy. I have the schus to know this child. Very, very bright child. And he is developing a little bit. He's a little shorter than some of his younger brothers and sisters, but his mind is all there, a bright kid, a happy child. So the story has a wonderful ending, and we're very grateful for that. But that father, at the Pidyon Haben, he showed everybody what the bracha asheryatzar is all about. So again, if you would like to sponsor some of these posters, whatever the size is, give a call to those numbers, as you will see now printed on the screen, the 845 number, 352-0111, and the fax number is 845-352-0305. And whoever it does sponsor, it may be a schus for you and for your family, for good health and a long and a happy life.